Oh, children. Bobby, do you have any children?
I do. I have two.
How old are they?
2.5 and 12 weeks.
You just getting started, man.
I know, yeah.
Holy crap. So that was my soon-to-be 24-year-old.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy? And I have a 21-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah, that's wild.
Nice.
Anyways, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited about this. So everybody, welcome back to On the Delo. This is episode 171.
That's my lucky number.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Today it is.
Today it is.
I'm going to give you, let's give you more of a rainbow color because you are, come on. This thing's being a jerk. Hold on. Well, I was going to give you, oh, there we go.
Nice.
That's a little bit
That is
better.
kind of our color.
A little
actually.
softer?
Yeah, no, that's our color.
So
Awesome.
Bobby is the CEO, co-founder of Rainbow Insurance.
That's right.
Yeah. So tell me about that. How did, you said you were responsible for the name, is that correct?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So the true story is that my co-founder and I were sitting in our room in a WeWork in San Francisco, and I looked to him and I said, I think we should name the company Rainbow. And he said, sounds good. And we went with it.
That was it.
That was it. And we did some research, and I was like, well, I'm glad you're on board, but like someone must be using that name. We're not going to be able to use it. So maybe something like that. And we found out that no one was really using it. So the name just kind of stuck. And as you know, as a business owner, there's like infinite things going on. Obviously, the name's an important decision.
Right.
But we were like, okay, let's just mentally snooze that and let's go with Rainbow for now. And then we didn't really do anything else. And then as we started telling people, they were like, I really like that name. It's memorable. It's positive.
Yeah.
It stuck.
And it's not lemonade.
It's not lemonade.
There's no sugar in the rainbow, right?
There isn't.
But there's a pot of gold at the end of it. That I guess that would be the antithesis for it. So how long have you been in San Francisco?
I've lived there for 8 years.
Okay.
I actually moved there right when I moved there and then got into insurance. So I moved there for work.
Okay.
Which was to join a software incubator where they like start companies.
Yeah.
And the business that I started was in specialty insurance. So as long as I've lived in San Francisco, I've worked in insurance.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And so that was the beginning of PathPoint when you
That was the
went out
beginning of PathPoint. And that was actually 2017 of July 7th. So it was right after 4th of July. And so I literally, we're coming up on the anniversary.
there? And what did you do before that then?
Before that, I'd been the founder of a couple different companies that were like technology-enabled businesses.
Yeah.
But honestly, and I'm not just saying this, I feel like I've really found my calling in insurance. I love it. I love the people in the industry. And I just love what we're building.
So I would assume, because you're a pretty young dude. Like I'm an old dude compared to you. You're a pretty young dude. You're in your 30s, right?
I'm 39.
You're 39. Yeah. You're a kid. I'm 51, people, like old Delo here. But so meeting you in person for the first time, but and obviously seeing a lot of your stuff online, I would say your power of knowledge and your professionalism and a lot of the brilliance that kind of exudes out of you in essence is a lot older. Like you're an older soul. So correct me if I'm wrong, but like what was the early beginnings of Bobby and getting, into the entrepreneur journey? I mean, were you like a 10-year-old whiz kid or how did this start?
No, not at all. I really fell into entrepreneurship is the truth. I'd studied econ and finance in college, and I graduated in 2008. I thought I would go work in finance, but the whole market fell apart. And I started a business with a friend, really mostly just to keep myself busy. I was living back at home at the time in Boston. I'm originally from the Boston area.
Okay.
And I just sort of didn't ever, kind of like the name Rainbow, it's one of those things that it just kind of stuck. And I just found that, the days and weeks and months and years sort of started to pass, and I was still an entrepreneur. And then after a certain point, I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, and I sort of, the journey has definitely not been a straight line. There's been lots of twists and turns, but it's been a lot of fun. And I found my way into insurance. And nobody in my family worked in insurance. Nobody in my family was really an entrepreneur until my mom, who converted the downstairs of our house that I grew up in into a home daycare. So that was like seeing her do her thing was like the first real example of entrepreneurship that I was around, and it was very inspiring to me.
That's actually okay. So here's a question for you that I want people to listen to and see how this resonates. You're now in insurance. You're in insurance what, 12 years now?
I know, like 8 years.
Like 8 years? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in insurance 8 years now. Before that 8 years had happened, what can you remember as your definition of insurance? What did it mean to you, not mean to you? Did it have any sort of context? Was it just something that you had to buy and you're like,
Well, Dilo, I knew nothing about insurance. And when I got into insurance, I had never even purchased insurance.
yeah.
Like I was never a business owner, so I'd never had to purchase a business policy.
Yep.
And I'd had like startups, but they were always small. And we had like a GL policy that I bought online. I couldn't even remember. I couldn't even tell you who the carrier was because I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was like, I didn't know what to think. But that not knowing was kind of like what was most exciting to me as I was peeling back the layers and I was just learning more and more. I just sort of fell in love with it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so now obviously it has a different definition and context. And really, to me, insurance is obviously it's protection. It's a way to, help people when in need, but it's a business. I mean, at the end of the day, when people are always asking like, well, why did the carrier pull out? They have to write my coverage. No, they don't. They're a for-profit business.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've, so with my previous company and now the current company, I've been around a lot of the large brokerages. I've been really fortunate to be kind of meeting a lot of the leaders at large insurance companies. And so I've sort of observed those things. They've been super eye-opening. But the thing to me that I always really love about insurance is the people.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the technology-enabled insurance-adjacent companies, whether they're brokers or carriers or even tech companies, I just think the ones that are most consistently unsuccessful are the ones that most underestimate how important the people are. So there's like a correlation. If you value the people, your chances of success are way higher. If you don't value the people, your chances of success are way lower.
I completely resonates. I mean, you met my staff. I told you the tenure of how long they've been here, how important they are.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And when you treat them well, it goes without saying they're going to treat the clients well.
Yep.
Just all part of that same ecosystem. And I feel that with your guys' organization too. Everybody that I talk to has just been amazing. And you get that
That's awesome.
feeling, that same vibe. So how hard is it to start an MGA, and why after PathPoint are you going, I want to do this?
Well, I really wanted to. So PathPoint is an online brokerage, and we don't have any of our own bespoke programs. We're not really super involved in the development of like underwriting guidelines or anything. I mean, we're not involved in those things. And I don't know if it's grass is always greener or what it was. I was always just kind of interested in, as I was looking at the way that technology was modernizing different pieces of insurance, a part that still felt underdeveloped to me was the sort of the intersection of software and underwriting. And I loved that concept at a high level. The MGA vehicle was just like a nice way to come to market with something. We wanted to combine that with specialization, so being hyper-focused within verticals rather than going mile wide, inch deep. We wanted to prioritize agent distribution from day one. We've never sold anything direct to consumer, and we never will. And the third thing, like I was saying, is we wanted to have humans in the loop on our side. We knew that's important for the second thing. We know agents, they like to talk to people. They're going to need to. It's business insurance. No two businesses are the same. You got to be able to talk to someone. And I think that's been really powerful. And I think when you combine those three things, you can produce what MGAs should be about, which is producing better loss ratios, better underwriting because you're specialized. And that's really like what our North Star is.
Yeah, niche is what I'm all about. That's obviously why we're here and why you all had found me. It's pretty easy to Google bar restaurant insurance, and I pop up, and it's like, oh, this guy must do this.
Yeah.
So when you look at Rainbow, you look at the MGA, you look at the fact that you have to go get an insurance company to to back the product that you're writing. Why hospitality? Was there like something in your blood that you were like, I really want to do the hospitality? Why not cyber or something else?
Well, First of all, I felt like Main Street business had been really overlooked by the tech-enabled players. A lot of people were going after cyber and other categories like that, which are critical. But I still, called me old-fashioned. I liked that fabric of the economy type part of the industry. Why restaurants? I personally love restaurants, and I don't know if that's a good reason, but
Community.
I love to eat. They're a critical part of the community. I've always wanted to, at some point in my life, own a restaurant. And so the idea of, I love to cook in my spare time. It's one of the main ways that I feel like I get like a form of meditation away from my work. And it's also just this very special way. All of my like most positive memories with my family are always involving food.
Yeah.
And so this was this very powerful thing. But putting aside like the emotional aspect, it's one of the biggest categories. Hospitality is one of the biggest categories, other than like contractors. And I wasn't super interested in contractors. And within hospitality, there was restaurants and there was hotels and motels. And so we were a new MGA that was tech-enabled, which isn't exactly every capacity provider's favorite thing.
Right.
And we wanted to do an admitted product that focused on restaurants. And so we would meet with people, and they were wondering, like, if there are hidden cameras. They're like, is this a joke? Like, this is your first program that you want to do? And what we found, though, was the fact that it seemed, because it's such a distressed class, and when we were starting in 2022, these restaurants were still really suffering from the pandemic and what it had done to them.
Yeah.
So that was like, it felt kind of a, if you can do the really hard thing and solve this, you're gonna create something really valuable. And so we kind of, again, you're probably hearing a consistent theme. We just sort of jumped in, didn't look back, and it's been an amazing ride.
I love that. I mean, it's again, it goes back to what you had said earlier about the human element, and you're putting the human element in the MGA, in the insurance company, so that you can deal more with the localized, community, being the hospitality community, and with that human element, but you have that touch of technology that's going to help with efficiencies and help with the availability to possibly prevent claims or take action against things that, happen in the midst of a claim.
That's right. That's perfectly said.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's cool. That's really cool. Does it cost a lot of money to do this, to start this?
I think it depends on how you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, so we're 35-ish full-time employees right now. 12 of them are software engineers, or 11 of them are software engineers. Yeah. The 11 engineers and I are based in the San Francisco Bay Area. And then the rest of the team is distributed. And the remainder of the team is everyone is not an engineer. They're all from commercial insurance. Yeah. And so that's customer service, that's underwriting, that's sales, that's actuarial, and that's claims. I mean, it takes a real investment to build something that is hopefully going to be lasting. Yeah. And but I think we've been pretty efficient with how we've been spending our money. Yeah. And the traction is there with our value proposition. So, well,
I love the fact that you, again, goes back to what you said earlier. You look for the right partners. Now, not everybody's going to have a perfect track record all the time, because obviously there are perils out there that you can't control, whether that be weather, whether that be the person that's somebody that walks into a place and just, is prone to be acclaimed wherever they walk. But that's why people have insurance.
Right.
But there's also a lot to be said that when you look at the amount of insurance agents out there, and I can speak to this because I'm one of them, and this is not a derogatory statement towards anybody in particular. It's just the industry. You look at attorneys, you look at accountants, you look at fitness trainers. I mean, it doesn't matter what industry. You're going to have people that are in those industries that aren't really in those industries.
Right.
And so when you're a niche market, like with what you're doing, you want to find the niche players that understand the niche market to sell the niche product.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's how we found you.
That's very cool. Tell me, how has life changed now that you have two little kids as an entrepreneur? You got a business that is literally in the infant stage that's growing leaps and bounds. You're opening up states a couple of year, maybe more. I mean,
well, so basically with the restaurant program, we're now basically at full strength. And so we're in like roughly 30 states.
Wow.
And 2 years ago, almost to the day, because July 7th, 2017 is when I moved to the Bay Area. July 1st, 2023 is when we launched the restaurant program. We launched in Arizona and you were our very first appointed agent. And so 2 years later, we're in 30 states with an admitted product too.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've seen a lot of growth, which has been very rewarding.
Explain what admitted means to the listener.
Yeah, so basically there are, within property and casualty, there's like, broadly speaking, 2 buckets of types of insurance companies or products, those that are admitted and those that are non-admitted. The admitted side represents about 70% of all the premium. You know, relatively speaking, the non-admitted side is the side that is growing, and that's due to a lot of things that are happening in the world that are difficult to model and which the admitted market struggles with. If you're an admitted product, every state's insurance regulator, and insurance, unlike a lot of financial services, it's regulated at the state level. So every state's Department of Insurance has to approve your product or your filing. And once you're approved, basically you have a backstop from the state's guarantee fund, which says that if the carrier or carriers that are insuring businesses were to become insolvent, either due to negligence or due to bad claims experience or whatever, this fund will backstop the policyholders. So it's just like more protection. And generally speaking, agents are motivated to place business on the admitted side when they can. My previous business was focused exclusively on the non-admitted side of the world. So again, I don't know if it's grass is always greener or what, but so admitted is kind of what we focused on.
Yeah, and for all of you listening, and that was a great explanation. A lot of people like buy these products and don't even understand what they're buying half the time, and nor do they really need to. That's why they have an agent or broker to help them between admitted or non-admitted. But generally, the non-admitted stuff is for the more risque sorts of things, and with hospitality, it's generally those places that have, you know, the bottles popping and the, you know, a little bit more activity, not as much food being served and that sort of thing. And generally, they are almost double, if not triple, the price in a lot of aspects.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So, what has surprised you so far in your short business life as an insurance, you know, MGA owner? What has surprised you so far as the types of hospitality claims that you get?
You know, so actually most of our claims are property related.
Yeah.
We actually don't have that many casualty claims, knock on wood, which is a good thing.
Right.
Not that any claims are a good thing, but you know, we insure a lot of businesses in Texas where, and this is another thing, it's like you mentioned admitted, not admitted. Historically, a very common reason that a business would be insured on a non-admitted product was because it was in a catastrophe zone or what's called cat exposure. So it's like, think basically anywhere in Florida because a hurricane could hit it.
Yep.
And now, and this is why I was talking about how the non-admitted market's growing, now there's severe weather everywhere in the country. You know, you have tornadoes, you have severe and convective storm, you have this stuff happening all over the place. And so, you know, when there's a big hailstorm, if we have a bunch of restaurants that we've written in North Texas and those are going to get hit, you know, those are claims that we're going to see. Typically, the worst claims for us have tended to be if there's a fire at the premises.
Yeah.
And those are obviously heartbreaking claims to hear. Luckily for us, we place a lot of value on, or sorry, a lot of importance on trying to be super responsive in a claim scenario. That's really, really critical. Yeah. It's kind of shocking to me how slow a lot of established carriers can be when it comes to responsiveness for a claim. And so we work with third-party administrators because we have a pretty big geographic footprint. A lot of MGAs, they might be focused not only on a niche industry, but on a niche geography. They might only write in 2 or 3 states.
Right.
And so it's easier for them to have a couple different claims adjusters that are doing a lot of that work. We work with a TPA that has a national footprint, and then we have an in-house claims team, basically, that manages the TPAs and then can work with the agents to get the best outcome for insureds.
For the most part, in your opinion or from your knowledge, are there any ways that could have prevented some of these property claims that you know about? Or is it really just kind of a kitchen fire that got out of control?
It's hard to say. I mean, the fires that we've had have happened for different reasons. One, a building was a standalone building was literally struck by a lightning bolt. I mean, it's like
what are you going to do?
You can't do much. In other cases, there will be things like there wasn't proper cleaning of vents.
Yeah.
In other cases, it might have been like the vents had been cleaned or had been replaced, but maybe the contractor didn't do exactly what they needed to do, and so that actually increased the likelihood that something bad could happen. It's kind of all over the place. We're always trying to think very proactively about potential patterns in claims activity so that we can try to mitigate or even completely avoid those claims happening in the future. But I mean, as you said, insurance and claims really go hand in hand, whether we like to think about it that way or not. And so it's just something that we're very actively thinking about all the time.
My worst property claim of the year so far is a situation where it's a drive-through, family style, grab your meal, bring it home sort of restaurant. You can go in there and pick it up as well. Great place. And they had a total fire. It's going to be a complete loss. And you know what caused the fire? They had a leaf blower with a lithium battery that ended up exploding that happened to be, I believe, like in the attic portion of the restaurant.
Yeah.
You just, how do you know, right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
When you look at all the different states, and I don't remember where because I'm only really concerned about Arizona, but you're not in Florida, I take it.
No, we're not. No, we're not in Florida or the Gulf.
Okay. What about South Carolina?
We are in South Carolina.
So what do you think, what's your take on the liquor laws out there and everything that's been going on and, the new laws that they've been trying to pass? Because I've talked to Restaurant Unstoppable, my friend that has that podcast, and he was talking to some restaurant owners out there, and they were part of this lobbying group that supposedly changed the laws for the better for them out there, because I heard it was really hard for them to get coverage.
It's very tough. So South Carolina is really tough. Georgia's really tough. I was at a conference in Georgia, and the state insurance commissioner got on stage, and his very first question was, who remembers the last time they drove down, and Atlanta's like all highways.
Yeah.
Who remembers the last time they drove down any of the highways in Atlanta, and the billboards that they saw were not attorneys saying, hey, if you have a claim, let's go after the big bad insurance company. And in those environments, it's like, it's really scary. I mean, we have quite a bit of business in those two states. I think that, I can't really comment on the laws, and I mean, I wish they were not as punitive to the insurance companies, obviously, but I think a lot of that really does, our best defense against that stuff is our agents.
Yeah.
Who are the agents we work with? Who can help us avoid the obviously bad risks? Yeah. Because a lot of what we're trying to do is filter out the obviously bad, and within the maybe not so obviously bad, even a little bit more filter out, so that we're getting the obviously could be good and the very good. Like that's kind of what we want to focus on, and we just sort of have to recognize that there's not a ton we can do. In general, if there's anything that we can do as insurance companies to give those lawmakers more comfort around laws that are a little bit more, I want to say common sense, but I'm honestly just not well-versed enough on the laws. But yeah,
more like personal responsibility.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And I would assume now that you're in a plethora of states, 30 of them to be exact, you also are seeing different rates per different states. I would assume that some states obviously have a lot more premium than others, but maybe their minimums on those premiums are $5,000 as opposed to $20,000 because of the different ratings, whether it be for the liability or the property.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Every state is very different.
Yeah, it's got to be fun for you to wake up and open up your spreadsheet and see like what premiums are going through what states and
what's crazy about it is that the restaurants, although they're going to be different, they're not necessarily like as different as the rates may suggest.
Yeah.
So much of it just has to do with what makes a particular location on a map more or less risky than another one, regardless of what the business is.
Yeah. Okay. So look, you're a CEO of an insurance company, an MGA. You're a stud, right? 39, kicking ass. What advice for my restaurant owners could you give to them that would be good advice for them to understand about being, part of a good insurance program? Like, what could they do based on what you've seen and you've heard through your meetings that when you would look at it, you would say, you know what, I'm going to give you the best rate?
I think not. So first of all, I think for all restaurant owners, your number one priority should be having incredible product and service. Like just the basics, like just run a great business.
It's a great answer.
And I think a lot of other things will generally work themselves out. If you're passionate and committed and you're like clear-eyed, now that I am working in the industry, I watch shows like Restaurant Impossible
Yeah.
or John Taffer's Bar Rescue, and I have such a new appreciation for those programs. And it's incredible how the reason that every one of those restaurants is in need of rescue or is impossible is almost always because of the owner.
Yeah.
100%, almost 100% of the time.
Yeah.
They're just like not really present, or they're focusing on all the wrong things. And so I think just being really focused on being the best at your craft goes a long way. And the second thing I would say is do not cut corners on hiring high quality people to your staff. Don't just give jobs to your family members. I'm all about family business, and I get that money is tight and this is a tough economy, but hiring someone that is experienced at running the front of the house of a restaurant or the back of the house of a restaurant, it's going to make your life easier, and it's going to dramatically reduce the likelihood that you have to interact with an insurance company.
Those are two amazing answers, and I really appreciate that, and I hope people really got something out of that. Because at the end of the day, if you care about your business a lot, not that something couldn't ever happen, but the chances are a lot less because
Right.
you're present, you're there, you're operating it.
Exactly, because like you said, something could always happen.
Yeah.
It's just trying to avoid the obvious bad things, basically.
No, that's really good answer. Okay, so niches, obviously restaurants. You have a health and wellness niche.
Yep. Yeah, we
Right.
call it beauty and wellness.
Beauty and wellness.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying that so far? What's your wellness journey? And honestly, what's the day in the life of a Bobby right now? I mean, you got kids, so you probably have to, obviously do a lot with that. But do you have a health and wellness regimen yourself?
Yeah, so I've always so we launched Beauty and Wellness, which is our second vertical. We insure hair salons, nail salons, beauty parlors, and then fitness studios that are like spin, yoga, Pilates. Yeah. We don't really have appetite for CrossFit or 24-hour gyms yet, but we're focused on a lot of those other Main Street businesses that are in sort of that health and wellness category. That's also an admitted product, and it's live in Arizona. And my own wellness journey has been that I've always been a pretty high energy person. And so fitness has been an incredible outlet for me. It's been super centering for me. I tend to get ahead of myself all the time. And a lot of times I just tend to focus on the wrong things, if that makes sense. Like I find myself I get into weird habits and weird patterns. Exercise is just such a...
Stop watching YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly things like that. And I find that, it's like that expression people say that when they exercise more, they tend to naturally eat more healthy. I find that when I exercise more, like so many other things, tend to just fall into place, even though really nothing else about me has changed.
Yeah.
And Brian Johnson, the Blueprint guy, he's insane. For those of you who've seen him, I think it's really interesting what he's saying. But one of the things that he says, I don't live anything like that at all. But one of the things that he says that I think is really powerful is he says that his biggest hack is that he, and this is the guy who, for those of you who don't know, he measures himself 1 million times, a super wealthy guy. He basically lives on a diet and an exercise routine that comes out of an algorithm. But the key that he says is that he tries to remove free will from matters relating to his health and wellness. And so what he means by that is he doesn't want to have to decide what does he want to eat today. Because if he has to decide, he could be having a bad day. And so his brain's going to say, go for that less healthy option. Who cares? It's just one time. And then the next thing you know, you're having something bad for dinner as well. And then you get into this downward spiral. He has to basically just eat the same thing all the time that has the right nutrients, and he just tries to shut off his brain. That's actually what he focuses on. And what's crazy and how true that is for me is that I like to think I'm pretty self-aware, and yet like every other human being on earth, I tend to get into these destructive patterns.
Yeah.
And it's not like I had a troubled youth or anything. It's just one little thing, and then you just get into this spiral, and it's just about convenience and everything else, right? So for me, I try to just eat healthy. My wife has been vegan for 20 years, so what I try to do is eat some of the things she eats at least a couple times a week. That gets me on a good path.
Right.
And then I just try my best to move pretty much every day.
Yeah.
Living in California, we're super blessed. We have good weather, so I try to get outside. I spend time walking my dog. I love to chase my kids around. yeah, that's sort of been my fitness journey.
And I assume in the beginning and now that you're kind of, from what you were telling me, getting back into it, traveling, you just make the best choices that you can when you're at the airport. Or
That's it. Yeah. I mean, just this morning I was like, there was, it was actually, it's really funny you say that. When I got through security, I looked to my right, and at San Francisco International, there's a Burger King, and there was it's one of those like wraparound like the lines at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And it was completely packed. This is at 7:15 a.m. at Burger King. And right next to it is like a healthy, plant-based and smoothies and whatever. And you would think that this place was like out of business. There was no one. And it was just so eye-opening, Delo, to see how, you know, it's just like it's right there. People just go for the bad stuff. And they probably tell themselves,
egg, cheese biscuits.
I know, no, don't get me wrong.
Shit.
It's delicious. It's delicious. But I think that's what it is. They're like, oh, I'm traveling. Like I can, you know, maybe they're on vacation. I don't want to give folks a hard time. But I just know for myself, if I have that, the rest of my day is now not on as good a footing had I just eaten a smoothie, and I got a smoothie.
Yeah.
And it's been a great day.
Well, that's why you're here with energy. Or else you would have been complete trash if you had a hash brown and bacon sausage. Yeah. But damn, they're good. Especially when I used to drink and I was hungover. I'd be right at McDonald's the morning before. But it's probably why I was almost 200 pounds, right? And I'm not a big dude. So I appreciate you sharing that. People, I love it when, you know, CEOs, founders, people that are, you know, obviously busy with their schedule because that's what they do, you know, share those insights. I think it's really cool. Well, I appreciate you flying in for the day to come see me.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
And you're going to have to come back and do that again. I have a few rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
All right. Nerds or gummy bears?
Nerds.
Heavy weights or a long run?
Heavy weights.
Okay. 90 Day Fiance or the NBA Finals?
NBA Finals.
Kale or broccoli?
Ooh, broccoli.
Okay. Would you rather have a weather claim or a liability claim?
Weather claim.
Nintendo or Atari?
Nintendo.
Rat or Poison? The bands.
Oh.
Not Rat Poison, but Rat or Poison. This might be before your generation.
I'll go Poison because I think I can name one of their songs. I don't think I can name the song, but I think I know.
Every Rose Has Its Song?
Yes, exactly.
All right. Yeah. Would you rather go to a business conference or go camping?
Camping.
Okay. Organic or you don't give a shit?
I really don't care.
Okay. I love it. Bigfoot or aliens?
The movie, or just like in general?
What do you believe? All right.
Aliens.
There you go. Get the alien sign. That's incredible. Well, this has been fun. I appreciate it. This is a great story and be able to share. And obviously, if you want Rainbow Insurance, just go through me. I'll take care of you.
Please.
But anything you want to share before we leave?
Super grateful for the partnership with you, and I'm sorry it took me so long to meet you in person. This was awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you. And everybody, thanks for listening. Obviously, Bar Restaurant Insurance is my company, amongst the other things that I do. We'll put stuff in show notes. Thank you for listening again, and please 5-star, and yeah, we'll talk to you later. Peace out.